1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Good evening and welcome to the 2019 Anita Cochrane Memorial Junior Curling Class at hosted at the Royal City Curling Club. My name is Daniel Wenzik and I am joined by Tyler Tardy.
Hello, good to be here.
So today our feature game is going to be between Team Hafeli and Team Sophie Brissette. So we're going to introduce the teams. Skip for Team Hafeli is Holly Hafeli. The third is absent, and our second is Georgia Kapitko, lead Natalie Hafeli, and coach is Monica Makar. On Team Sophie Brissette, the skip is, of course, Sophie Brissette. Third, Madison Monroe. Second, Chloe Mitchell. Lead, Kira Dickey. And their coach is Kelly Michael. Tyler, looking forward to a really exciting game here. It's the last game of the round robin. So these teams are in their fourth game of the tournament. Definitely had a chance to get their feet wet and really get into the competition. What are you sort of expecting from these teams tonight?
I haven't watched these teams a whole lot, so I'm interested to see how they tackle this. Team Hafeli throwing the center guard up. It looks like they're ready to jump on right away and go for it. They just got off the ice, so I think they have a decent feel for the ice and they're ready to get going.
Sounds good, Tyler. So we just saw the rock from Kira Dickey just come up, just overcoming a little bit and crashing onto the Hafeli stone, bumping them into the top 12. And we see Team Hafeli taking the advantage and drawing around the center guard. Georgia Kapitko on the broom here. Trying to get this one as far as it can go, just come up a little bit short. Now Tyler, in your first ends of games, what sort of the style that you take when you're playing with your team?
For me, it kind of depends on what period of the week we're in. If we're late in the week and we don't have hammer, we're going to try to push it a little bit, throw a center guard if we're really comfortable with the ice. But if we're the team with hammer, we like to play a little more conservative and try to push hammer into the next end and keep that advantage moving forward.
I want to see a little bit of a rub there. A little bit of a lucky break for Team Brissette, getting just pushing Team Hafeli stone to the back 12. Even so, it's still early in the end, and both teams wrestling for a little bit of control of the house here. Now these teams do get a practice before the game, one rock up and one rock back each. More often than not during that practice, the teams will usually wear down just the one path to try and get their draw to the button as good as possible, which means the rest of the ice is fairly open, and teams are still going to be trying to learn it for the first couple ends.
Oh, thanks, Curling Girl. I'll make sure I try to speak up just a little bit.
So Tyler, we're seeing a couple of rocks end up just a little bit short of the house here. If you were sort of the coach here, what would you sort of be thinking about if you were on the ice?
I just make sure I know this is a big thing for the front end. It's pretty important for them to keep an eye on the ice, time the other opposition's rocks, and try to figure out the speed best you can, and really take your time to work as a team to figure out the speed for your next shot.
Let me see Holly Hafeli calling for what appeared to be a guard, feeling that her rock in the 12-foot is going to be good for the end, or maybe just suggesting that she wants to keep more of her options open, having some taps available to her later in the end. I guess maybe they're listening to Tyler, just a little bit of compensation there to try and get the rock into the house.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe they switched the path a little bit and they didn't quite expect it to be that quick, but it's an adjustment they'll definitely keep into consideration in the future.
And Tyler, we'll time a couple rocks here just to sort of get an idea. This is starting to throw about. This is the fourth rock in the spot. You see the team Brissette sweepers just clean this one into the house. And Tyler got a 13.1 on that, which means the ice actually is probably getting pretty close up to speed in that spot. We see Natalie Hafeli on the brush here. Wait, actually that's pretty close. Sweeping it to get it by and just rubs on the guard into the top 12. And we're seeing Sophie Brissette making the call to come around that blue, or around the team Hafeli stone. And Tyler, this is your first day here. What did you notice about the ice? What are your thoughts, just from an observer's point of view?
It looks like it's curling lots. I know their rocks are decently new. Speed looks like it's getting pretty up to speed pretty quick, and just looks like it's in the first end at this point. It's whoever can figure out that top 4, top 8 weight first is going to be looking like a really good position.
A little bit of a change of plan here for Team Brissette. Noticing it's not curling. And Sophie calls for the tap. Just bumping it into the 12 foot. Not quite sure whose second shot there in the top 12. So again, we're looking at who's going to control that 4 foot area first. And Tyler, would you ever have contemplated playing the tap on the centerline guard there?
The one that's in the top 12
Yeah.
center line? I'd consider it, yeah. It's it's a little more of a familiar path than what you just saw. But at the same time, if you knows it, maybe they want to be lying with 2 in the rings instead of just 1 with that biter in the corner there. But definitely it's something they could definitely look at a little later in the end.
Nice thing for both teams right now is they do both have rocks in front of the house that they could make a raise in for. Team Brissette making the call to raise the rocks in on the wing again. This one just hanging a little bit straight, and there it goes, comes curling up. Gonna top this into the side of the 4 foot. Definitely not the easiest shot, especially in a little bit of an unfamiliar path.
For sure, yeah, and a good result considering they're behind quite a few guards there. The only way at it is in a completely new path that may be quite a guess, so it's overall a good result.
So Team Hafeli here, looking at trying to tap one of their blue rocks into the house and limit that scoring area for Team Brissette. This is Holly Hafeli with her first shot of the first end. So we're throwing quite a bit of weight here. Getting a corner of that, running the yellow rock. Gets a little rub through the hole. Until I know still the first end. But I think there was definitely an opportunity to get one of her rocks into a really good position there. And this is Sophie Brissette with her first rock in the first end. She's electing to try and draw into the house and get at least sit in a third point. Super just babying this into the house. Looks like they might have left it just a little bit too long. And it stops just short. Until I guess that comes with a little bit of experience as you grow a little older into the curling ranks. Just knowing when to clean the rocks and making sure that you keep that path and keep that rock going just for that couple extra feet. And sometimes that just is the difference between the shot.
For sure, yeah. And especially in a new path, keeping a broom down the entire way will definitely keep it to speed than if you just let it catch on that fresh pebble. And I think that's something that they'll definitely catch on to.
Speaking of the new... Speaking of the new spot, we're going to go to the other side of the sheet now for Holly Hafeli's last shot of this first end. That's going to be the first shot we're going to see in the spot.
Hey buddy, thank you so much. Besides on my... Okay. It's good to see you.
We're getting a comment from the comment section that, is it typical to see this many rocks in the first end? I guess it depends on the play style, where both teams are just trying to get into the forefoot early. Again, just coming up a little bit short. Both teams felt they had an opportunity to go for it. And that's sort of where we saw the evolution here. Now, I went to school a little bit on the first couple rocks. Threw a little bit of weight here. Still just new spot, and the ice just slowed right down. It stops just short of the house. And Tyler, I was watching a couple games earlier where I noticed a lot of teams were electing to keep the front a little more open, just so that they could avoid a little bit of junk and get some comfortable with the ice. What are you sort of feeling from the play styles here?
For sure, yeah. I think in the past, watching junior games, it's something you see often is both teams are trying to make the draw around because they're not exactly in a forward position, and then a lot of guards come up short like this, and there's never really a huge opportunity to peel because there's too many rocks to peel, and you just kind of get into a draw competition with one another.
Yeah, the draw competition can be a little bit tough, especially in the first time when you're a little unfamiliar with the ice. And this is Sophie Brissette's last shot of the end. Going for the draw. Straight draw. And it looks like it's slowing down. George Kapitko's going to attempt to sweep this back, and we'll stop back 8. And that's going to be 3-0 lead to start the game for Team Sophie Brissette.
A great guess on that spot, being a brand new path going way wide. Great team shot.
Great sweep on that. So again, it's 3-0 for Team Sophie Brissette after the first end. And now some words from our sponsors.
Miles ago, champ.
Shouldn't we be going faster?
Nah, with Bel Air Direct, you can save money on your optional car insurance by driving safely.
Up to 25%. Slow and steady, champ.
Save up to 25% for safe driving on your optional car insurance with Bel Air Direct.
Woo!
Whew. Sick fight. You gotta see this. Look. 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 Look.
Shh. I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
Pretty proud.
Yeah, no kidding.
She throws a nice rock.
She does, yeah.
Welcome back to the 2019 Anita Cochrane Memorial Junior Curling Classic, hosted by the Royal City Curling Club. We'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Curl BC, Bel Air Direct, Best Western, and then some of our event sponsors, the Bassett family, Ted, Mona, and Paul, Westminster Savings, Paljo's Fish and Chips, Refresh Carpet and Upholstery Care, and Boston Pizza in New Westminster. So after the first end for Team Hafeli, definitely a little easy to get a little bit down, but I mean it is the first end and they have a chance to come back here.
Yeah, for sure, and with the new implemented, or I guess second year now, 5 rock rule, it makes it a lot more reasonable to come back like this, and you know, if you want to give up a 3, you definitely want to do it in the first end. So yeah, there's definitely still a lot of opportunities for both teams to carry on for the rest of this game.
I mean, not that you want to be giving up 3 in the first end, but...
No, for sure, but you know, if you're going to come back from any deficit, you're going to come back when it's from the very beginning of the game, and there's still a lot of hope for the ability to come back, especially if something like this happens in the first end.
I've heard a couple stories about some legendary curler named Wayne Madaw. He said he always wanted to go for it in the first end. For that reason exactly.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If you make a mistake in the first, you still got 7 whole ends behind you, and there's definitely some chances in those.
So again, this time we're seeing a couple guards going up early. So both the Team Brissette rocks just overcurling the center line a little bit. This gives Team Hafeli a little bit of an opportunity to come around those corner guards pretty much without too much risk. And for Team Hafeli, they would have just seen Team Brissette throw a couple rocks here in that spot, so hopefully they went to school and know the spot a little bit better. You see this rock from Natalie Hafeli sliding just to the back 4, but it is pretty covered. And again, I think we can come back to this. Some part of the importance of keeping those rocks really close to the center line, just so that the difference between having those rocks over in the corner and having them under the center line definitely is going to keep that scoring area a little more open for Team Hafeli here.
I'm not going to be allowed out to any more games.
I sold the motor and the tires off it for $1,300. Oh, so it worked out. We got it for free. So yeah. Oh, totally.
We saw the rock from Chloe Mitchell just coming up just a little bit short. Again, giving the opportunity for Team Hafeli to come around those yellow guards. I think one thing we talked a lot when we played together, Tyler, is we definitely talked about shot tolerance and understanding where it's an acceptable range to keep this rock.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think the older you get, the more important that tolerance gets for this situation, especially, you know, a center line guard is better than being deep, and I think the higher up you get when you're playing the bigger teams, that they get the most out of their misses, and that's a big example where that happens.
Yeah, you definitely want to be making something out of every shot. So with that rock coming just a little bit deep and bouncing off, gives Team Brissette an opportunity to either hit or freeze into that pocket there and keep themselves in a really good position and shrink that scoring area for Team Hafeli. And Team Brissette's looking like they're going to be playing a draw here, saying that they think that they can freeze right into that pocket and really put the pressure onto Team Hafeli. There's a little bit of pepper on this rock. It's coming into the house. It's going to bounce off and roll into the back 12.
Not a bad result, though. It's nice to stick around and make sure you have those hangers. Sometimes those rocks in the 12-foot end up.
In sort of contrast to the first time with the change in ice, teams it's like they're just getting a little bit fooled in the ice speed, where it's just picking up in that middle area through the slide path. And we had sort of had that opportunity where just keeping that rock, just take the 6 feet off and give it to the sweeper. Really makes a bit of a difference here in that second end.
For sure, yeah. Especially there, you again, a guard isn't the end of the world. They have to play a fresh path to chase that around the outturn side, and even if they do that, they're most likely probably peeling anyway. And if you have a team peeling guards, that usually means that you're in a good position.
To your point about positioning, how important do you think it is to have that solid rock positioning?
I think it's pretty much what makes or break a game. You know, if you're sitting back four all game, it's usually pretty tough if the other team's making a lot of shots to hang in there. But yeah, I think behind execution, obviously, positioning is pretty up there, along with tolerance on winning or losing games.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that point about tolerance?
By tolerance, I mean the way you want to miss a shot, you know. So if you're chucking a come around a guard, you don't exactly want to be behind the button. You'd want to be maybe a little shorter and open so you can slash something back maybe later, or you can even be deep as long as you're past the button. You don't want to be right behind the button and you can freeze for a shot. You'd want to be a little deeper, like back 12, so there's a little more room if they do make that shot, and it's just essentially making the most out of shots if you do miss.
Again, the rock just slide just a little bit deeper, but they're getting a little bit more control of this draw weight with their ice speeding up. It's almost every rock this end has been down that track. It looks like Team Brissette's going to be playing another freeze attempt here. Sophie's tightened up the ice just a little bit, I think, in case it is a little bit on the heavier side. Gives her that opportunity to sweep it and get a result out of that. Again, making the most out of every shot. And this rock is just dying really hard. And Tyler, they took about a foot less ice there compared to all their other shots. What do you think this might have done to the shot?
Probably just caught a bit of a fresh path and got some stuff that no rocks have been over quite yet. And in that scenario, you're going to see rocks curl a little more, and it's going to be running a little slower. So that's just probably what happened there.
So Team Hafeli here with a great opportunity to get a rock top 8 and force Team Brissette into a tough decision. Now both players for Team Hafeli are on the brush here. This rock is traveling a long ways. And they will drag it to the top of the 8 foot to get 4th shot. And they're now sitting 4. And Team Brissette going for the freeze. Guess we have another fun name for these. Not my favorite shot in the world, but sometimes you gotta play it.
Yeah, sometimes the skip is paid the big bucks for making a big shot like a freeze against quite a pile, and it's yeah, it's a shot that you definitely got to make, or you're going to be in a world of hurt, to say the least.
This is why they say skips typically have the most amount of pressure, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sweeper's cleaning this. Seem to say it's somewhat close. This rock is not slowing down. This rock will go by everything and slide right through the house. And Tyler got a hog-to-hog tie with that of 12-2. And we noticed earlier this end that about 14.5 was pretty close to T-line. So definitely ice speed change in there.
For sure, yeah, and maybe considering you're throwing against 4, it can be a little bit of jitters sometimes, and in that situation, sometimes it's nice to just take a good 6 feet off to compensate for that adrenaline, and a lot of the time it really helps out.
So what do you do how do you prepare for shots like that when you're having a draw against 3 or 4?
I definitely like to take my time. You definitely don't want to rush into a shot like that, and take an extra second to prepare yourself. Take a breather in the hack and make sure you're all settled down to make a big shot like that.
What's sort of like your most memorable shot where you've had to sort of freeze against a game? I know you've told me a few stories.
None come to mind, if I'm being honest.
Now that rock just coming up just a little bit short of the house, but as you were talking about tolerance earlier, that's actually still okay because it chokes off that freeze path for Sophie Brissette. And we call a timeout here to test some options.
Excuse me.
And Tyler, if you're in this kind of situation, what would you be thinking if you were Sophie?
You got a few options here. You can kind of play a similar path to what you just threw and try to just wrap one around and leave them lying first or second, and maybe get away with giving them a 2 or 3 here and take that and run with it. Or you can try to play what they're looking at there and slash it in. You got quite a few catchers there, so you don't have to be within a millimeter of the rock to make the shot. You got a bit of wiggle room there.
I think this is the first time where anyone's really looked at that side of the house outside of that little lump of yellows at the top. So I think it's pretty easy to get tunnel vision for any of us when we see that one path all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And I know personally anyway, when our team misses a same path a few times in a row, we really want to make it, and we just keep on trying it until we do. And sometimes it isn't the best shot or call, but you just want to make those shots that sometimes you get tunnel vision in those situations.
Do you have any sort of tips for overcoming that tunnel vision and sort of seeing that big picture, the whole sheet?
If you can tell me the trick yourself, I'd be all for it.
Tell us in the chat what sort of your tips are for overcoming that tunnel vision.
Seriously though, it's just taking your time with your team, and sometimes there's just certain roles on the team where some players think like, hey, let's step back and take another look at this situation, and it's good to have one of those guys to take the skip back when they're getting tunnel vision. I know myself, I get it all the time, and it's nice to have someone to bring me back a little bit and not just make it what I want. It's a team game, and it's all of our shots as well.
Definitely a fantastic point, Tyler. That it is, in fact, a team game. You need everyone to be on that same page and supporting each other. This has been a bit of a difficult end for Team Brissette, and this is just an opportunity for them to rebound here and limit the damage.
We have a special guest here, Sterling Middleton. If you'd like to say hi, step on in.
Hello, live stream.
If you have any questions for Sterling, please put them in the chat box.
So it looks like Team Brissette's coming to a decision, and they're going to be playing through that hole again. Now, Tyler, that looks like a pretty small hole just because of that rock that Team Hafeli just threw up there.
Yeah, it does look tight, especially with the weight they probably need to play to stick around here. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room there. So yeah, definitely need to be precise.
To Danny Boy in the chat, looks like they're playing, I would think, a hack waiter onto the one on the button. We have a comment from Cody Sinaka, and this is directed at Sterling Middleton. How do I get my hair to look like yours? Sterling, can we get some insight on this?
I mean, I did give Cody my morning routine on doing the hair, but yeah, it only takes about five minutes. Yeah, it's good.
That's what he says. We have Team Brissette's rock coming into the house here. Just not quite hitting enough of the blue rock they needed to, and spilling off, with none of the rocks leaving, giving Team Hafeli a shot here to get an extra point. I think that was a little bit of the danger playing that, Tyler. Just not quite having that that path down that really small hole.
Yeah, for sure, definitely a tough shot.
So I see Team Hafeli is going to be playing the out-turn draw through that hole. And Tyler, I believe this is the first shot that a team's played down this path, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'd probably be inclined to throw the same path that they were just looking at. They just threw that guard that's covering the edge of the forefoot there, so they kind of know the speed, and I think it's a little less of a guess than the path they're looking at right now.
I know one thing that we talked about is when you want to take the guesswork out, you just play a hit. And there's a couple of yellow rocks on the side there that are wide open that you could just hit and stick with a couple catchers there too.
For sure, yeah. You can just take your best guess on where the ice is for the nose hit on the right one, and if it overcurls a little bit, which in most cases it
Natalie Hafeli was just cleaning this for her first half of the ice. Now she's right on it. Just getting by that wide yellow.
Very nice shot.
Into the top 8. A wonderful draw by Holy Hafeli to get 5th point. So that's 5 points for Team Hafeli here in the second end. And they will lead Team Brissette 5-3. Now for the between end break, and now a word from our sponsors.
Miles ago, Jam.
Shouldn't we be going faster?
Nah, with Bel Air Direct, you can save money on your optional car insurance by driving safely.
Up to 25%. Slow and steady, Jam.
Save up to 25% for safe driving on your optional car insurance with Bel Air Direct.
Woo-hoo. Sick fight, you gotta see this. Look, look, look. Look.
Shh. I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
Welcome back to the 2019 Anita Cochrane Junior Memorial Classic. We're going to give you a bit of an update of what's going on here with all the action. On sheet 1, we have Team Brian Jessel BMW up 2-0 on Team Durant. On sheet 2, we have Team Richards leading Team Calhoun 1-0. On sheet 3, we have Team Coles-Lister leading Team Guidus 2-1. On sheet 5, we have Team Caldwell leading Team Aoki 1-0. And on sheet 6, we have Team Emily Bowles up 1-0 on Gabby Brissette. So we're getting a little bit of that roller coaster ride here for this game, Tyler. So alright, start for Team Hafeli, getting the rock top house. Now they're going to put up the center guard just to get that setup going. A little bit of a miscue from Team Brissette there, just over curling on the hit. And the guard just not quite curling up enough to fully cover their rock in the 8-foot. And Team Brissette gives Team Brissette the opportunity to come in and try and hit it and open up the 8-foot for themselves.
Thanks for the comment, Cody. I'm a big fan of you as well.
It's fantastic having amazing fans like we have in the chat tonight. If anyone's in the lower mainland area, we'd love to see you down at the Royal City Curling Club for tomorrow in the playoffs. This is the first stop in the BC Junior Curling Tour. This year we have 5 events, including 2 new events, one in Kamloops and one in Golden Ears. Thank you, Aaron Searfuse, for your suggestion, doing an interview with some parents, what it's like to be a curling parent. I personally don't know what it would be like to be in that kind of situation. Danny Boy in the chat asked, will you guys be commentating during the semis and finals? The answer is Jordan Kiss is going to be here tomorrow, helping out. We saw Team Brissette trying to hit the blue rock on the edge of the 8. Just come up a little bit short there. I guess that's one of the spots that also hasn't been used quite as much. Tyler, what are some of your thoughts on playing the inside-out turn on shots like that?
It kind of just is a personal preference. I know a lot of teams like to play that way to bring the sweepers in it a little more, and it's essentially whatever you're more comfortable with. I've seen both, and they both work. It's just whatever you practice and you know better.
So you said put the sweepers back into it. What do you mean by that?
Well, obviously when you're playing inside out, well, normally anyway, it'll curl a little more, so you can essentially play with sweepers. You can hold it a little more or less, so there's a little more wiggle room with the sweep if you make her that shot or not. Hopefully that makes sense.
Now Tyler, with so much curl in the ice, would you still suggest that playing the inside out still gives you that control with the sweeping?
In some circumstances, yes. I haven't thrown on this ice myself, so I know some ice curls a lot and some still allow you to manipulate the rock with some sweeping and some don't. It's just the team's got to figure that out before the game and figure that out themselves, and I trust that this team has figured that out and they're doing what works best for them.
We just saw Team Brissette attempting to hit the rock in the back four. I guess trying to hit that rock back there just to open up their scoring area and try and keep a little bit of control so that they can maintain their end plan of scoring and potentially get in the deuce. Just reckoning on the guard. I know it's quite a difficult situation to be in when you're almost going to make the shot, but just clipping the guard and not quite getting either result. This rock by Team Hafeli is going to be slipping to the back 8. I think we're still trying to figure out the teams are just trying to figure out the ice just a little bit here. Again, just slipping that a little bit deep. And Tyler, on your team, when players are consistently throwing the rocks a little bit deep, how do you guys sort of rebound and get yourselves back in control of the ice?
Sorry, can you just repeat that? I'm having a hard time processing.
So we're still trying to figure out the ice here. So what are some of your strategies for your teams when you're trying to figure out the ice faster?
A big part of that is, you can practice in different clubs just to get a different feel for different sheets and the way different places curl, and you can catch on to that a little quicker if you have that experience with different types of ice. Other than that, if you're in a game and you haven't done that, you can just take your time and have a really nice meeting in between ends to make sure you guys all know what the ice is doing. Tell your skip, tell your front end, tell your third, and make sure you guys all know how the ice is behaving.
Here we're seeing Team Hafeli try to remove rocking the edge of the 8. Just not curling up for Georgia Capicco there. An opportunity for Team Brissette here to hit the rock in the back 4 and try and bring that other rock into play. Now Tyler, if you're a Team Hafeli there, they're hitting the rock that's out in the edge of the 8 and they've got that center guard there. Would you have maybe elected to play the draw into the top 8 and try and maintain control of that center line?
For sure, yeah, I would have thought about it. You're already shot 2, so if you make that, you're line 3 and in a pretty decent position. But I see what they're thinking as well. They got a 2-point lead right now, so they don't really need to push the ante right now.
Madison Monroe makes the hit and stick. Team Hafeli still sitting in the shot 1 on the left side of the house there in the back 8. And we're going to see Team Hafeli playing a hit on the yellow out in the wing. I think the important here for Team Hafeli is to make sure you stick around and get a little bit of an inside roll or make the double just so that we can continue to sit 2. Team Hafeli makes the hit and they stick, and I'm not quite sure who is second shot there. What do you think, Tyler?
To be honest, I'm not sure who's even first shot. It looks like a 3-way measure right now to me. All very close.
And Team Brissette not taking a chance. They're not shot. It's going to hit the top blue one. Get a little bit of a roll to the center to avoid the jam at the back.
Great shot there.
Great shot from Team Brissette. She got the hit and the roll right to the center line. Team Hafeli just looking, see who's second shot. I don't think it matters quite too much who's shot here, because I think the shot's going to remain the same. Just want to remove that yellow rock and get a little roll underneath your center guard. I think the important thing here for Team Hafeli is to make sure you at least remove the rock, and then you can worry about getting that really good roll. You don't want to be getting too cute with that guard.
For sure, yeah. I think they're trying to see who's shot, because if they overroll it past the guard, there may be a nose double for two, but if they nose it this way and they are second shot, then they don't really need to worry about the double as much.
This is the final shot for Team Hafeli in the third end. Now the half on the brush. Just pokes out to the, gets the roll, just pokes out to the other side. And from my angle, it looks like a very difficult double, but it looks like it might be possible. What do you think, Tyler?
Definitely a hard shot. I like her confidence, though, in feeling that she can make that draw to the button for one, and it's nice to have that confidence as a skip.
Definitely. She just put the broom down, said, "We're playing the draw. Let's go make it." It's wonderful to see a young skip just having that confidence, put the broom down, and say, "We're playing the draw."
Absolutely, yeah. I know back when I was that age, I definitely did not have the confidence to make those shots, so it's nice to see at this age.
As you got older, how did you find that you got confidence in that draw weight?
I found I got confident by missing a lot of them. And
you missed shots, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, 4 foot's usually a stretch for me, so.
Unless I'm mistaken, I do believe that you played like 99% in a Canadian junior final there. Is that true?
It's true, but maybe the statisticians weren't watching our game. But yeah, once in a while, you're when you make these shots, looking real close here.
Looks real close here for Sophie Brissette. And just looks like it slips that couple inches too deep, giving Team Hafeli that steal of one. Great effort by Sophie Brissette, though, to make that draw. So now we have Team Hafeli leading 6-3 over Team Sophie Brissette. And now a word from our supporters.
Woo-hoo. Sick fight, you gotta see this. Look, 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 look.
Shh, I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
Welcome back to the 2019 Anita Cochrane Junior Memorial Classic. here at the Royal City Curling Club. We're in the fourth end, and Team Hafeli leads Team Sophie Brissette 6-3. So I think here we're going to start seeing Team Brissette take a couple more chances and try and force play a little bit more to the wing to generate their deuce. Team Brissette's been very close in a lot of shots, and they're getting a lot more comfortable with the ice. And Tyler, what are some strategies that your teams have used to sort of rebound when things aren't quite going the way they should be?
Yeah, I think at this point you you kind of want to really go for it. Throw 2 corner guards and go for your 3. You still got time. There's still 5 ends left, and just kind of whittle your way back. You take 2, force take 2, and you're tied all of a sudden. So, it's still manageable. You just need to be patient with it when you're in a deficit.
Definitely, just going the 2-1, 2-1. That's all you need to do, and you're right back in the game.
Absolutely, yeah.
A little bit of a miscue there from Team Hafeli, moving the draw coming through the house. In the chat, we have Marcio Cerquino asking, who is Danny Boy? Are you talking about Danny Boy that Tyler Tardy's addressing to, or the Danny Boy in the chat? Team Brissette trying to put up another corner guard, just slipping into the house here. One thing to note is that the ice is definitely getting a little bit faster, and teams need to make the adjustment just a little bit quicker. That's definitely going to be a thing that you learn as you grow a little bit more into the sport as well. A nice hit and roll there from Team Hafeli. The Rock sort of loaded up into the 4-foot, and Team Brissette's not liking the setup there. Because the Rocks are on the T line and behind, I think you could still have the opportunity to put up a corner guard and go for your deuce. By making the hit here, it almost says that you're okay taking the blank, but I think when you look at the scoreboard, you kind of want to go for that deuce here.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes at this age you may want to just kind of get back into it, make some shots, get that confidence back up before you go for it again, and just play a bunch of easy shots just to kind of ease back into it.
Definitely, confidence plays such a big role in a lot of things that we do, in both curling and everything else in life. So I think you have a very good point there. Just keeping it simple.
For sure, yeah. When you make more shots, you're obviously going to be more confident, and you can slowly build back into more complicated ends and playing the shots that you're feeling comfortable with. So yeah, it's nice to just ease into it a little bit once in a while.
I think one of the cool things about this event this year is that the ice has just been championship condition, 6 feet of curl, hits are running very nicely straight, it's very predictable. For when the players graduate and start making it to provincial and national championships, this is very similar to the ice that we'll be getting there.
For sure, yeah.
Remember your first provincial when the ice was like brand new and you weren't sure how to handle it?
Yeah, exactly, and it was definitely a learning curve, and we had to learn pretty quick because those teams definitely knew the ice a lot better than we did.
When we were talking before the game, you said there was one team that you always considered your nemesis back when you were just getting into juniors.
Yeah, for sure. Tyler Klimchuk, he was my absolute hero back in the day, and I got to play in the provincial final once, and they whooped us, to say the least. But yeah, he was a big role model for me when I was growing up in juniors, and it was nice to follow him and eventually play one of my heroes as a junior.
I think it's super cool that you have people that you looked up to and eventually got to play, and I guess you've beaten them a couple times lately too. This must be kind of fun when you get to play and beat your heroes.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Speaking of heroes, who's been your all-time favorite matchup in history?
Matchup
where you get to play against the other guy. Played against some pretty good teams, especially in the last year and a bit.
Yeah, when we got to go again in the few slams in the past, it was quite nice to play some of those teams that are obviously very much on the top, and rightfully so. And just to, not even just to play against them, just to really learn from those guys and find out what they're doing that we're not, and really being observant during the games. I think it made a big difference in our game now.
So you talked about being observant. So if you're providing advice to junior teams, what would you suggest them to be more, quote, observant out there? Like what kind of things are you looking for?
A big thing is just to keep on learning. You know, the second you stop thinking you need to learn something in this game, the second you stop growing and getting better. There's always something you can learn. You can watch pro teams. It's pretty easy to find what things they're doing that you're not, and if you can eventually try to copy it and eventually modify it into your own game at some point. I think personally anyway, I've learned a great deal from watching those teams and really figuring out what they're doing that we're not, and trying to learn as much as I can, asking questions from people I know in this community. It's quite common that if you ask someone something, they'll open up and help you out. They want the best for you, and yeah, just keep on learning at this age.
What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned on the ice from playing against those top teams? I know there's been so many lessons, but there must be something that sticks out to you being like, yep, that's the one.
For sure, at the age that the teams that we're watching right now, I think a big part of it was hit weight. I know when I was back playing Tyler Klimchuk and they're mopping the floor against us, we were throwing 8 seconds for nose hits, and it was just ridiculous. I don't know what we were even thinking. It was impossible to hit and stick, and once you bring down the weight a bit and bring the sweepers into it more, you can definitely make a lot more shots. You find the line is less of an issue than the weight is, because if you can throw the right weight, then your sweepers can manipulate the shot and make it for you.
Definitely, I guess that plays back into your whole thing where this is a team sport and you want to have everyone engaged in every shot.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a little bit of an open end here, but from the first couple shots, you could sort of see that we're going to be trending to this with a couple hits being played early. Team Brissette just trying to get the confidence back, especially going into the break. Have a chance to talk to Coach again. I gotta say, after coaching a little bit over the past couple years, gotta respect that role of the coach.
Absolutely, I can't really honestly say that most of what I've learned and gotten better for has come from my coach. And even the things I've learned from other people have come indirectly from him through connections and all that. So I I owe pretty much everything I know from curling to my dad and my coach.
So you mentioned your dad is one of your big inspirations in the game. What's been some of the what kind of aspects has he had the biggest impact on you on?
I think a big part is he sacrificed a lot. Even like something like this weekend, he takes time out of his weekend to work with us and make sure we get better. And he really wants the best for us, and he'll do anything to make sure we get better. And I think that's it's been pretty obvious that a good chunk of our learning has come from him.
I've been lucky enough to work with your dad a few times, and must say, just the way he delivers the material too has just been. He says it in such a way that it seems to stick very well. So I've been talking with some other junior curlers, and most people have a dedicated single coach they work with week in, week out, who's at the rink with them on Monday or Tuesday nights, helping out with their technical, their sweeping. How many coaches do you think you've had over your years?
At least 2. No, honestly, it's probably close to
3, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 3.
4?
Probably looking at around 20 plus.
20 plus?
Yeah, quite a few, and we're quite fortunate to work with some of the head honchos for coaches.
In the chat, we see Nat Middleton saying GGP. So that's a little inside joke that we have, where whenever we address to Tyler's dad, we always call him Good Guy Paul. Because everyone needs a good person in their life. And Tyler's lucky enough that his dad's a fantastic dude.
And the winner, if I win, I'll give you 13 IOUs. Here you go. Okay, there's 1 for 5. Okay. You'll think of it.
Here we go, this is the last shot, 4th end. Team Brissette attempting to peel out that blue rock in the back 12 and blank the end, take the hammer to the 5th.
Did you get words?
Nope.
Thanks.
Oh, excuse me. Normally I just go for it.
Okay, I know. Go ahead.
Here we go, final shot of the 4th end. So for Brissette with the peel attempt. I'm gonna hit it right on the nose, and Team Brissette will be forced to 1. I'm gonna go to the break. Team Hafeli 6, Team Brissette 4. Now we're gonna have a 5-minute intermission, and we will be back with you after this.
Woo-hoo. Sick fight. You gotta see this. Look. 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 Look.
Shh, I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
Cool. You should have. Welcome back to the 2019 Anita Cochrane Junior Memorial Classic at the Royal City Curling Club in New Westminster. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Curl BC, Bel Air Direct, Best Western, the Bassett family, Ted, Mona, and Paul, Westminster Savings, Padjo's Fish and Chips, Refresh Carpet and Upholstery Care, and Boston Pizza New Westminster. to update you on some of the scores going on around the rink. On sheet 1, we have Team Brian Jessel BMW up 3-1 on Team Durant. On sheet 2, we have Team Richards leading Team Calhoun 2-1. On sheet 3, Team Coles Lister leads Team Gaddis 5-1. On sheet 5, Team Colwell leads Team Aoki 3-2. And on sheet 6, Team Emily Bowles is up 2-1 on Team Gabby Brissette. Back we go, we see the first rock from Team Hafeli, corner guard. Getting their 4th end break, just a good chance to re-energize, rehydrate. Talk to coach, get a little bit of inspiration.
We live in Brock. I teach at North, and Teresa teaches, my wife Teresa, she's a teacher like me at Brock Middle School. So we're basically both over on that side, so we live
And the rock from Team Brissette sliding a little bit deep. We're seeing Team Holly Hafeli, seeing how much of the rock that the thrower can see. Those scoreboards suggest that you're up 2 and hitting's not a bad option. Is there something else that you see here, Tyler?
Yeah, you can definitely maybe think about throwing a corner guard and try to generate some offense that way. This way, in reality, the Hafeli team could probably peel the guard and have it pretty open, and they're probably pretty happy with that scenario, considering the score. But both good calls. And
Natalie Hafeli making the shot flawlessly, going to the center line. Team Brissette looking like they're making the play around the corner guard. And Team Brissette's down a couple points, and Sophie's just looking for a chance to generate a couple points here, see if she can get a steal generated. Looks like she's definitely wanting to beat Team Hafeli into the 8-foot there and shrink the scoring area. Excellent shot there by Chloe Mitchell, coming perfectly around the corner guard. Holly Hafeli saying, nope, that guard's not doing it for me. So she's electing to peel it, open up that yellow rock and keep it open. For Team Hafeli here, looks like their objective is just mainly either score 1 or ideally blank the end and retain that important hammer into the 6th end. Struck just curling up quite a bit. Might be making the run back, just runs it by. Just a little bit unlucky there, running it into their own in the back 12. And that's a great opportunity for Team Brissette to start generating that steal point that they're looking for. This rock's just going to be slipping a little bit deeper than they're intending. It's coming quite a bit too. Noticing that rock, just the handle started to come off a little bit. Tyler, can you explain a little bit why you want to make sure you have really good rotation on this ice?
Yeah, for sure. When you're playing on ice that curls a lot, it's important to have around 3.5 rotations, even more in some cases. If you don't, it's quite common that you see the rock not really either move or the speed is a little different than what you're expecting. If it's a little less rotation, it's quite common that you see a rock die pretty fast. What I mean by that is just slowed down and it's not really moving at the same speed that most rocks are, and at the same time it's also curling a lot more.
Looks like they're doing the 50-50. Tyler, did you buy your tickets?
I did not know.
I guess you're not getting rich tonight then. Nice guard there by Madison Monroe. Covers off their shot rock. Team Hafeli not liking these guards on the side. Looks like that Holly wants to play a peel and try and get rid of multiple rocks. It looks like we might have a bit of a conspiracy here at the Royal City Curling Club. Paul Bassett, one of the organizers, actually won the 50-50 draw.
How does that work?
Tonight's 50-50 proceeds are going to be donated to the BC Cancer Foundation and the Anita Cochrane Endowment Fund for cancer research. Tyler, I know cancer research is a bit of a big point in your family with your dad being in research himself.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been working pretty much his whole career looking for a better drug for acute myeloid leukemia, and he's successfully done that and got his drug approved by the FDA a couple of years ago, and super proud of him for the accomplishments he's made in that field.
Cancer is just one of those horrible diseases, and we're more than happy to help out whenever possible, just because everyone has a story about someone that they know. The story that we're all remembering this weekend is about Anita Cochrane, who was an amazing individual. Actually was one of my junior coaches back when I was growing up, and I'm fortunate enough to know her.
I know. And for the record, I had nothing. I didn't sell any tickets tonight.
A nice draw there by Chloe Mitchell, or by Madison Monroe, my apologies. Just coming top 12. And Tyler, it looks like Team Hafeli here might be making a bit of a switch and abandoning their plan to potentially blank the end. Is there a point where you'd sort of flip the switch and say, no, let's go for a deuce?
It's definitely a question you need to ask yourself. You kind of need to figure out, are the chances still okay to blank or get an open end? And at this point, it's definitely a time you want to think about that. So yeah, I don't mind the call as long as they're all on the same page and know and are ready to make that switch. But yeah, they all need to be on the same page, which it looked like they were. So yeah, I don't mind it.
A little bit of an overroll there by Team Hafeli. I'm going to see Team Brissette trying to draw into the top 4 and choke off that button. With how much this ice is curling, expect this to be close. Team Brissette's really been coming out firing in this 5th end. It's one thing when I was a junior player we always talked about is that 4th or 5th end break was definitely one of those turning points where you either got or lost, sometimes lost or gained the momentum just based on how the first half was going. And this rock by Sophie Brissette's just coming up a little bit short and crashes on their own rock, top 12. I think just got a little bit in between whether you want to really go for the draw or just leave it a little short. But chunking off like that, they've given Team Hafeli the opportunity to make a double and get out at the end.
Yeah, I don't think it's the end of the world though. I think if they make that double, they're probably rolling the shooter out, and they'll still have that opportunity to come around if they really want to try to make a force or maybe even steal. But yeah, a little light there, but great sweep, and just came up a little short.
Exactly. You can see it just fine.
And the double attempt just over curling a little bit, leaving Team Brissette still shot stone. Now it looks like Sophie's electing to want to draw around, just trying to figure out what the best way to do so is.
I think I like this path they're taking. They've seen it a fair amount of times, and it's pretty difficult to get near the center line with where that yellow one is kind of blocking off that draw path. So I like this call, and I like the turn that they're playing here.
This is the final shot of the end for Team Brissette. And it's curling hard.
Looks like they got a pretty nice shot.
Sweeping to get by, and they are going to be by. And into the top four. What a great shot by Sophie Brissette.
Very nice shot. Definitely putting the pressure on Team Hafeli now.
Looks like Collie Hafeli here is going to play the run back. It's only a few feet. Looks like she's already planned out her alternative option just in case it stays out a little bit wider. And this will be a shot against two for Team Hafeli. I'd like to know what the coach gave Team Brissette this end. They played a very fantastic end. Here we go, final shot for Team Hafeli. Oh, and just goes right to the hole. And it's going to be a steal of two for Team Brissette here in the fifth end. And they have tied the game.
Miles ago, champ.
Shouldn't we be going faster?
Nah, with Bel Air Direct, you can save money on your optional car insurance by driving safely.
Up to 25%. Slow and steady, champ.
Save up to 25% for safe driving on your optional car insurance with Bel Air Direct.
Woo-hoo. Sick fight. You gotta see this. Look. 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 Look.
Shh. I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
Welcome back to the 5th annual Anita Cochrane Memorial West Coast Junior Classic. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, the Bassett family, Ted, Mona, and Paul, as well as Westminster Savings, Padro's Fish and Chips, Refresh Carpet Upholstery Care, Boston Pizza New Westminster, and we want to thank our Curl BC sponsors, Bel Air Direct and Best Western. We've seen a bit of a momentum swing here going into the 6th end. We've seen a few of these swings this game, sort of like on a roller coaster ride. We see Team Brissette sticking similar game plan as they were last time, just get a couple guards up and get a few around that. We see Team Hafeli trying to get all the play to the wing, try and generate their extra points here. This rock's sliding to the back 12, but it's going to be a usable rock, potentially. Sometimes it's the extra points that count at the end of the end.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of times I've given up an extra point from a biter, it's quite high, actually. So yeah, you got to be careful for those ones.
Seeing Team Brissette sticking to their game plan, trying to keep as much play to the middle as they can with some draws. It's looking a little bit heavy. Just a little bit deep. Team Hafeli again sticking to their game plan, trying to push play to the wing, ignoring that rock and the edge of the 8-foot.
Yeah, I'd be a little inclined to maybe hit that one there. Maybe a little bit of a different situation if you could draw for shot around that corner guard. Because in reality, you only really need a 2 here. This is playing for a 3. But if you get 2 here, you're looking in a really nice position. It's a lot safer to maybe just hit that wide one so it doesn't bite you in the butt later.
It's a good point, Tyler, where you're suggesting that the risk for the extra point isn't maybe how to think about that again.
It's obviously it's all just based on what you like to do, and if they like to go aggressive, that's great. Just maybe a suggestion to maybe think about hitting that wide and playing a little safe, and you only really need to beat a team by 1, and if you get 2 here, that's a great increase to your chances of winning.
It's a great point where you just want to get that 1 extra point, and making sure you score here is very important.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's been a lot of talk on analytics here and how that's playing into strategy these days. What is sort of your take on that?
Yeah, personally, I'm pretty big on it myself. I know if you get a 2 here, your chances of winning are quite high. You're looking at, if I'm not mistaken, it's either in the 80s or 90s. So, if you can get a deuce here, and you don't need to make it super complicated and just get it the way it is, or if you blank, that's also great. But yeah, I think the more knowledge we have on analytics, the more players are starting to look into it and get that extra percentage for their chances of winning, and just looking for every way they can improve their game as they can, and that's the biggest break in the field, so they might as well try to learn a bit about it.
I've heard a lot of people been referring to it as, quote, curling's money ball, or I guess money rock, we'll have to call it.
Not gonna lie, I haven't heard that before.
Interesting shot selection by Team Hafeli, trying to freeze that yellow rock in the edge of the 8 there. This still leaves Team Brissette sitting 2, and Sophie's electing to play the guard here, seeing that she's shot 2, saying that she's got enough control here and she's happy just trying to guard and make life a little more difficult for Team Hafeli. You made a point earlier in the broadcast that you were talking about getting a little bit of that tunnel vision and wanting to push for that extra little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think a big part of that maybe was from that steal of 2 there. I know when I've been in that position where I maybe miss a big shot as the skip, I get a bit of tunnel vision and think I need to get back what I just missed, and sometimes you try a little too hard to get that back, and maybe you need to step back sometimes and think, hey, we're still tied with, we're still in an advantage here, and let's just forget about it and move on.
And that guard just overcurling a little bit, giving Team Hafeli the opportunity to hit that rock and sit a shot potentially. I overheard another coach talking earlier today, saying that guard is definitely one of the hardest shots on ice that curls like this.
For sure, yeah, and I think the more you can bring your sweepers into it, take a little extra ice and sweep the rock to finish to that spot, it's better than waiting and hoping it sits in the spot that you need. If you have to sweep a rock to finish it in the spot the entire way, that's fine. It's just a little more possible to make it like that, in my opinion anyway.
From what I've seen here this week, for the most part, a lot of the mistakes have been more on the inside rather than the outside.
Yeah, I think a big part of that comes from how much it's curling this week. And Kevin Martin, once I heard him say that he always used to give just an extra inch of ice, and it's always made a difference for him. And I think in the past we've seen that fact to be true in our game.
I forgot which coach I was working with, but for a game, they actually started marking how many times we racked on guards, and compared between games, and noticed that when we didn't rack on guards, and even if we left them half open, noticed that our win percentage actually was quite a bit higher when we didn't rack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you make it by the guard and you're sticking half open, at least they have to make a shot and chase that one rather than getting a free shot if they rack on the guard. If you're even 3/4 open, it's a lot better than ticking the guard.
Small shout out to Ken Brown. I think last year you were telling me a lot about make them make a shot. I'm not going to repeat some other things. Great hit and roll, and punching that Yellow Rock out just a little bit. That might have been enough to actually make them sit too. Fantastic there from Georgia Kapitko. We're seeing Sophie Brissette go make a very aggressive call here to go around the corner guard.
Yeah, I think it's an aggressive call, but in reality, it's probably your best bet, considering I believe blue is shot too.
That's what appears to be off of the cameras.
Yeah, there's not really a way to chase that one blue on the right, so you kind of got to put as much pressure on the other skip as you can and maybe get out of this with a force.
We have our Bonspiel organizer, Steve Kopf, here with us for a moment. How's it going, Steve?
It's going good, guys.
Steve, you're hosting a fantastic event here. It's one of the premier stops in the BC Junior Curling Tour.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun to watch some good curling. Looks like we have a good game here.
Hey, Steve, while I have you here, can you say a couple words about Anita Cochrane for us?
Yeah, she was a wonderful person that was involved in the curling community. She was an avid curler herself, competed at the mixed nationals, got involved in coaching BC juniors and also her dad in Australia. And yeah, she was someone who battled breast cancer for 9 years, and she gave back to the sport through coaching, and she was regarded as a really special person. So we're here, this Bonspiel's in her name, and we're remembering her.
I think it's super awesome that you and the Bass family have been helping keep this legacy live on.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. You guys are doing a great job, and thanks to Curl BC for setting up this live stream, and everyone can watch at home.
And Steve, we thank you for being a fantastic event organizer, and I know this is all the teams who are eligible next year look forward to coming back again too.
Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thanks, Steve. Talk soon. So there last shot we saw Sophie Brissette's rock just not quite curling up enough. It's one of the few shots we've actually seen under curl. And then we have the shot from Holly Hafeli. A little on the heavy side. Holly's getting a little fooled in that inside track where it's getting pretty fast. I actually haven't seen the ice slow down too much this game at all, have you?
No, it looks like it's been pretty much the same speed the whole time. Ken McCardle's been doing a great job keeping this ice to the level it's always known to be, and he's a great ice maker, and it's showing in this event so far.
So Tyler, here we're going to be playing, or Sophie's playing the draw around the guard. To your point earlier, you said going for the steal here might be worth the risk, just because that 1 point swing could change the game a little bit in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's a harder shot than maybe trying to go wide and hit it and just conceding it too. But if you force in this end, your chances of winning are significantly higher than giving up two. And yeah, it's kind of a risk and reward. Obviously, it's a harder shot, but I think the payout is quite big compared to giving up a two.
Unfortunately, the rock just sliding through the house, giving Team Hafeli a draw for 3. Rock looks a little warm, but it's going to be settling into the back four. And we'll just sit in the back 12 for the third point. Saw Holly had a little bit of a nervous moment there, but all is good for her. So after the sixth end, it's 3 points for Team Hafeli, and they take a 3-point lead over Team Brissette. And now we're from some of our sponsors.
Miles ago, champ.
Shouldn't we be going faster?
Nah, with Bel Air Direct, you can save money on your optional car insurance by driving safely.
Up to 25%. Slow and steady, champ.
Save up to 25% for safe driving on your optional car insurance with Bel Air Direct.
Woo-hoo. Sick fight, you gotta see this. Look, 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 look.
Shh, I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
Miles ago, champ.
Shouldn't we be going faster?
Nah, with Bel Air Direct, you can save money on your optional car insurance by driving safely.
Up to 25%. Slow and steady, champ.
Save up to 25% for safe driving on your optional car insurance with Bel Air Direct.
Welcome back to the 5th annual Anita Cochrane Memorial West Coast Junior Classic at the Royal City Curling Club. We're going to update you on the scores. On sheet 1, we have Team Brian Jessel BMW leading Team Durant 4-1. On sheet 2, Team Richards leads Team Calhoun 3-2. On sheet 3, Team Gaudos trails Team Coles Lister 5-2. On sheet 5, Team Colwell and Team Aoki having a barn burner 5-4 for Colwell. And on sheet 6, Team Emily Bowles leads Team Gabby Brissette 6-1. Another big momentum swing there, Tyler. Team Hafeli getting a good guard there near the center line. Going to try and force Team Brissette to make some a little more difficult shots here this end as they try and climb back into this game. Now here, 3 points isn't the end of the world. You get a deuce here. All you have to do is steal one in the 8th end. You're going to the extra.
Yeah, for sure. It's you're pretty much always still in the game. You just gotta make 8 shots and take it one at a time.
It's always the right attitude to be taking that one shot at a time, where this is the most important shot.
Exactly. You don't want to look too far in the future, and that's where maybe some errors would kick in. You just want to take it one game, one end, one shot at a time, and it's all a process. Just gotta not look too far ahead.
It's the skip's job to look a little further ahead, isn't it?
Exactly. Great counter on there.
Wonderful draw there by Natalie Hafeli. That rock, they're definitely going to cause Team Brissette a couple headaches there for the rest of the end. Now the shot from Kira Dickey just a little bit on the light side. Just going to overcurl the guard. And land as a corner guard. Again, all guards here for Team Brissette could be used. I've seen you make a couple fun shots with the corner guards.
Yeah, I miss a lot of them too, but...
So what you're saying is that John Epping makes them more than you do?
Oh yeah.
I guess it's called the Epping for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
seeing another come around attempt by Natalie Hafeli. They're sweeping it right to the face. Just sweeping it to get a little bit of a bump. Now for those at home, most people would think when you're playing the freeze is that if you come up and tap them a little bit, it's okay. But usually when you hit the rock, you're going to bounce off, and that can create a little bit of an issue later on. Tyler, can you elaborate a little bit on bouncing off on freezes?
Yeah, obviously it's a bit of a miss, and you can have the other team make an opportunity on that. When you bounce off, it gives the other team either a hit and roll buried, and they're all of a sudden lying 2 buried, and you're in a lot more trouble than you just were. Or they can freeze, and they just gives you a lot more options if you bounce off on the freeze than if you maybe are a little lighter. And
Strock staying out there. Oh, and gets a nice rub off. And gets the double and sticks behind the center guard.
This is where we need an instant replay.
We need an instant replay. This could be the turning point of the game here.
You got your nap in this afternoon.
Sometimes those are just the breaks you need to loosen up, isn't it, Tyler? We're seeing Team Hafeli here. Go for the peel. Just curl it up a little bit.
Got a comment from Danny.
Rolling for a quarter guard.
Yeah, you probably want to keep your...
That actually opens up the wings for Team Brissette, and they actually have an opportunity to draw around the corner guards and potentially set up for a big score here. I gotta say, it's very special to be commentating with someone on the Men of Curling calendar. Unfortunately, he's informed me that he does not have a preview yet. So make sure you're texting Tyler Tardy daily for the latest updates.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
No problem, mate.
The score on sheet 5 is 5 for Caldwell and 4 for Aoki.
And Team Caldwell has hammer. And the dude's name is Nabisco Crackers. Those sound tasty right now. And a great hit and roll there by Team Hafeli to get half buried around that corner guard. With the amount of curl on the ice, there is still an opportunity for Team Brissette to get a little bit of a roll inside under those corner guards. And Tyler, when you ever get in situations like this where you're down by a couple and suddenly you have this opportunity, do you ever find that the nerves start building a little bit, knowing that you have this opportunity?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. It's just making sure you take your time to make sure you take that opportunity and get the best out of every shot. And you may have a good chance to come back in this game.
We should have a fantastic shot there from Madison Monroe, hitting the long roll into the wide corner guard. It's be a very difficult hit for Team Hafeli. Now, from my point of view, but I'm up behind the center line, I see about half the rock, but from the thrower, it's a much less forgiving visual. Fantastic hit by Georgia Kapitko. Now, their sticking around wasn't so much the important thing as removing the rock. Sticking there would have added extra risk that you really don't need to take on a shot like that.
You got another question?
Yeah, Danny boy, that all-star front end better be working out to pound those rocks into the button, end after end after end. So Tyler, when we're talking about the perfect 3 setup, this is almost exactly like the textbook says.
Yeah, you know, they have 2 corners and on either side, and they're throwing, so they have a decent chance to really stick it to them a bit and make a couple good ones, and you're in a real nice position to score a multiple.
And that draw by Team Brissette, just not quite curling quite enough. It's still half buried though. To our point earlier, definitely better to have it half open than to be crashing that guard.
Yeah, for sure. Makes this shot a lot more difficult. Obviously, if they were crashed in the guard, it's a little more easy of a decision on what to do, but looking at the ice they're given, I'm loving their weight choice already. It's something soft that the sweepers can manipulate a bit, and at this age, that's something very mature for them to do, and I love to see it.
It's fantastic, just really putting that team aspect back in the game.
Exactly, yeah.
This rock has a little ways to curl, and just not quite curling enough. This will be a huge opportunity for Team Brissette to draw for a 3rd point. And Tyler, they're electing to play the same shot that they just threw. I'm looking at the other side of the ice where there's quite a bit of room.
Yeah, I'd be inclined actually to maybe throw it buried around the other side. If you make this one good, even if you make it perfect, there's a good chance of them making a double from that one you just threw. But if you came around the other guard, it's a little more difficult, even if you make it, if you don't make it perfect. So yeah, maybe just consider coming around the 2 guards, and you have a pretty decent chance at 3.
I think we might need to get Tyler a voice amplifier for speaking to the microphone. This rock stops just a little bit short of the house. So, Team Hafeli has a decision to make here.
Yeah, and they got a pretty big one to make. They can either come buried around that one they just threw, or they can maybe throw a run back of some sort to maybe cut down the damage a little bit. But whatever you do, you got to make it, obviously. And I love how quick the call was to make it nice and competent.
I've heard from a couple players on the slam circuit that they actually prefer playing the draw here just because they're going to have to make Team Brissette make the harder shot. Whereas if you play the run back, it's almost an all or nothing.
Oh, sorry, we'll update the amount of shots left. Just 1 second.
This will be the last shot for Team Hafeli, yes. And we have a final to announce. Team Caldwell has defeated Team Aoki 9-4 after 7 ends. We'll also update you on a couple other scores. On sheet 2, Team Richards is leading Team Calhoun 4-2 now. On sheet 3, Team Gaidos trails Team Cole Lister 5-3. And on sheet 6, Team Emily Bowles leads Team Gabby Brissette 6-2. I mentioned this in the other broadcast, that I'd always love to have the coach on mic for the timeout just to hear their insight.
You have to make it up.
And again, there's a few different options here. One, you could play the run back and potentially, but the run back's sort of an all or nothing where if you hit one of the yellow rocks out, it's fantastic, but if you were to ever miss, it's still an open draw to the house. Or potentially a split for 4 for Team Brissette. Whereas if you make a good draw, the damage should be limited to 3, and they'll have to make a very difficult shot. And it looks like they're going to be playing around the corner guard here. Tyler, what do you think of this?
Yeah, it's an interesting call. They don't know this path quite as well. They kind of just got a free read off the Brissette team throwing that guard there, so they may have a little bit of an idea what it's doing there. But as long as you make the shot, it's you're sitting nice. I think the thought here is if they come around that guard, the run back's a lot more difficult to make than the straight back one on the one they just threw. So as long as you make it, whatever you make is good.
Natalie Hafeli here on the sweep. She's just cleaned for the first little bit. Now she's really giving the sweep. Now she's right off. Now Georgia Kapitko's taking the sweep, and it is going to go just a little bit past the yellow one.
A great
on
shot.
The side of the 8, but it looks like it's full buried from my angle. That's a fantastic shot there by Holly Hafeli. Tyler, do you think that shot with like a hack waiter to chip it out's there?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like it. It's been curling lots in this spot. They don't even really need to throw hack. They just need to move it out of the 8-foot. But yeah, I think you definitely always go for this. You really need a 3 to tie it to make sure you stay in the game. And I think you pretty much try this shot as hard as you can.
Yeah, great insight, Tyler. That a lot of teams will actually try and almost remove that blue rock out of the house, but you're right, you don't have to move the rock about 4 or 5 feet just out of the 8-foot there. It's important. This is a very pivotal shot this game. This could potentially be the game here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that when you know the ice inside and out, these are some of the most fun shots to be playing out there.
For sure, yeah, and it brings the whole team together. You need someone to call line perfectly. You need the weight to be perfect out of the thrower's hand and the sweepers to make those fine-tuned adjustments for you. It's a great team shot right here.
Not impossible. Hard. Time out. Yeah, 2 of the girls got it.
all the players are gone. Oh my god.
It was a bench clearing brawl. First time in junior curling history.
I would say I hate to say it, but if it's going to be a team involved, it'll be that Hafeli team for sure. Like the three of them, alpha females all over the place. Like,
that won't happen. I don't know if it's shot rock though, is it?
No.
It is, yeah, it is shot rock.
He's not wrong.
We might have to just draw in for one.
That's all you can do. Yeah.
Looks like they're trying to play on the wide side to potentially chunk the yellow on the side and move it out. Tyler, I don't know if that shot is there with enough weight to stick around.
Definitely not to stick around. I think they're just playing this one for two, throwing it decently hard and just, yeah, sloshing it into the blue one for two.
I almost think the degree of difficulty on this is almost the same as that backline shot.
Yeah, it looks pretty close. You know, you can pretty much see no more than a quarter rock, if that. So yeah, both shots are pretty difficult. It's just with this slash here, it's a little more just the thrower throwing it hard and the broom than the other one. The whole team is involved in using sweeping and line calling and all that stuff.
And I find with the team shots, you usually have a much higher percentage chance of making them just because everyone's fully engaged.
For sure, yeah, I agree.
And we have another final. Team Brian Jessel BMW has defeated Team Durant on sheet 1. And Team Emily Bowles has defeated Team Gabby Brissette on sheet 6. And this is the final shot from Sophie Brissette. Looks like it's just going to overcurl a little bit and get the guard. And it will be a fantastic draw by Holy Hafeli. That's a stolen point here in the 7th end. Take a 10-6 lead over Team Brissette. We'll be back in just a moment.
Woo-hoo. Sick fight, you gotta see this. Look, 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 look.
Shh, I'm saving money.
Save up to 25% on your optional car insurance for safe driving with Bel Air Direct.
That's her game anyway. Is to
Right.
draw herself out of trouble. I've seen her do it before. So it's like, just a draw.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, for sure, that was it.
Welcome back to the 5th annual Anita Cochrane Memorial West Coast Junior Classic at the Royal City Curling Club. We're going to update you on the last few scores. On sheet 2, Team Richards leads Team Calhoun 4-3. On sheet 3, Team Coles-Lister still maintains a 5-4 advantage over Team Gaddis. Last time we saw a very clutch shot by Holy Hafeli to get her team out of some trouble. Gotta say, if I was Holly there, it's definitely a sigh of relief when you know you can just bail your team out of a little bit of a pickle there.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely one of those shots we were talking about earlier where that's why the skips make the big bucks playing the hard shots.
little bit of an uphill climb here for Team Brissette, trying to score 4 points here to stay in the game. First part of the mission is accomplished with the first corner guard. And Sophie's going up to motion for a second corner guard here.
Something I'd consider doing for the Hafeli team is, since they threw their first one through and their second one was in the house, you may as well throw your first one in the house, and if you don't like it, you can peel it out. Or if you're happy with the position, you can even try to run that corner guard into the house, get rid of the corner guard and yours, and they're just lying one in the house with no corner guards. It's a little trick that some people have started to do with the 5-rock rule.
Now, Tali, you're starting to get a little bit of practice with mixed doubles, right? So with the power play option, they've got that corner guard out in the wing. So what's sort of your thoughts for countering the power play?
There's a few ways you can do it. It kind of depends on the situation. A lot of teams you'll see throw a guard. Or sorry, as the team that's winning or losing?
You're winning.
Okay. Something that a couple of the more top mixed doubles teams have been doing are they're playing the freeze on the one buried around the rock, and if they're open, that's fine. They just don't want to over curl it. But yeah, as long as your weight's good, and you can pretty much just play that freeze, and you're looking like a pretty good position right off the bat. And for mixed doubles, obviously, the shots are change a lot for what's maybe right or wrong. You can pretty much see a different end right away, maybe 2 shots into the end. So yeah, it's pretty much just that first shot that's really important in doubles.
This is a note for Nick Ferguson. The score for Durant's game, the last score that was posted was 4-2 for Team Daniels, and they have shaken.
Like that was your final score?
It looks like the strategy here for Team Hafeli is just hit everything in sight.
Yeah, for sure. They don't need to junk it up and go for a force or anything. They're up by 4 points. They just need to hit 5 rocks out, and they win the game.
Good peel attempt there by Georgia Kapitko. Not likely, but you could see that wide blue one come into play later. And that shot from Team Brissette just coming up a little bit short of the house. And Team Hafeli here going for the peel on the one yellow.
His girlfriend went with him.
Now Tyler, let's assume that the rocks were a little bit closer to the house. When you're up by a few, what's sort of your strategy for combating too many corner guards?
Depends on the situation. Sometimes you can even trick your opponent and actually beat them with some offense. That was kind of Randy Furby's thought. A good defense is a good offense, and sometimes that's a good way to protect yourself against that. And sometimes it's best to just get you guys to throw high hard ones and peel some guards.
Sort of like the adage you're talking about in our broadcast earlier, the best guard is second shot sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. A guard doesn't always have to be out of the rings. If you're desperate, you can always use a rock even in the top 8 as a guard.
Team Hafeli here making another good peel. Working hard to get this one right out.
That's up to you.
With only 3 rocks left for Team Brissette, there's the wide open rock on the edge of the 12. And it looks like they're shaking.
Good game, thank you.
Interesting that they're shaking. There's still 3 rocks to go. But looks like Team Hafeli has defeated Team Brissette 10-6 here in Draw 8 of the 2019 Anita Cochrane Memorial West Coast Junior Classic. Tomorrow we'll be having the playoffs, which will be broadcast on the Curl BC YouTube page.
2 misses in a row.
We will be having the semifinals live here at 9:30 a.m. and the finals to follow at 12:30 p.m. Hope to hear you all then. Another shout out to our sponsors, Curl BC, Bel Air Direct, and Best Western, helping out the BC Junior Curling Tour. The Bassett family, without them this event would not be possible. As well as Westminster Savings, Podger's Fish and Chips, Refresh Carpet and Upholstery Care, and Boston Pizza New Westminster.
Miles ago, champ.
Shouldn't we be going faster?
Nah, with Bel Air Direct, you can save money on your optional car insurance by driving safely.
Up to 25%. Slow and steady, champ.
Save up to 25% for safe driving on your optional car insurance with Bel Air Direct.
No, they wouldn't like it. But just like in front of my rock.
Last couple updates here before we sign off. On sheet 2, Team Richards and Team Calhoun will be going to an extra end with Team Richards having the hammer. On sheet 3, we have Team Gaddis trailing 4-5 against Team Coles Lister. With the last couple shots coming up here on sheet 3.
9 and noon.
Correction on the draws for tomorrow. They will be at 9 a.m. for the semifinals and noon for the finals. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you all tomorrow.